Today we are making a chicken and vegetable stew. Okay, so I started by cooking some small red potatoes just in salted boiling water until they're done. You could do it ahead of time. You could probably do it the same time as you're doing your chicken. I just wanted to get this done ahead of time. And I also used the water from the potatoes to just throw my tomatoes in so I could peel them. You make a little X with a knife, just score the other side, not the stem side, the other side, and then the skins come off easily. You just put them in for about half a minute. So I'm going to peel these tomatoes and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I have one whole chicken breast that I cut up into 4, and I have 5 chicken thighs here. I left the skin on. You can take the skin off and you can use any part of the chicken that you like and as much chicken as you like. This is just what I have today. So I'm going to take this over to my skillet and I'm going to brown it on both sides in a little bit of oil. I know I usually say don't use a high flame when cooking, but in this case you do want to do it over a high flame and you don't want to overcrowd your pan. I did it in 2 batches and you can see the color. You don't have to cook the chicken all the way through, you just want to brown it on all sides. And now I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I have a Dutch oven here with a little bit of oil at the bottom. I'm sorry about the lighting. I'm just going to add 3 onions that I cut up into thin half circles. And I'm going to cook that over a medium flame, just until they start to color a little bit. Okay, so now that the onions are getting a little bit of that caramelized color on the edges, I'm going to add a whole bunch of thyme, and you could tie it together with a string, but most of this thyme is kind of together, and I don't mind fishing the little sticks out later. And I'm going to add some mushrooms. As much as you want, you can cut them up. I'm just going to leave them whole, and I'm going to saute this for a little while. Now in a separate skillet, I'm going to brown up some vegetables quickly. I know we're using lots of dishes and it's a lot of different steps, but the reason I do this is because I don't want these veggies to be overcooked and get all mushy. Right now I'm going to brown up some red bell peppers that I've cut up, roughly chopped up. I usually do green peppers as well, but my store had no green peppers. So I'm just going to quickly brown the red peppers and then I'll show you the next step. So I got a nice char on my peppers and now I'm going to fry up my zucchini. I cut it up pretty thick and in half circles, but you can cut it up any way you like, but the thicker you cut it, the less mushy it'll get. So I'm just going to brown up the zucchini separately. I also want to add that you could certainly use yellow squash. You could probably add some eggplant if you wanted to. You could do yellow or orange peppers also. Really any vegetables that you like you could add to this stew. So once your mushrooms have sauteed for a while, you can add some salt at this stage. I'm also going to add some crushed red pepper flakes to taste. If you don't like spicy, you can leave it out. And I'm going to add my tomatoes now. I peeled them and I quartered them. And I have about 10 of them in here. But you can use as much or as little as you like. I'm also going to add some coarsely ground black pepper to taste. And now I'm going to put my chicken back in. Now that my chicken is inside, I'm just going to partially cover it and let it cook until the chicken is almost finished cooking. You don't need any additional liquid. The tomatoes and the chicken itself will produce a lovely broth. So while the chicken stews, I've taken my potatoes and cut them in half. I've also chopped up some herbs. I have some dill and some cilantro here. Normally I also add basil. You could use parsley. You could use any combination of these herbs or skip them, but I do like to add a lot of herbs. So there's a whole bunch of dill and a whole bunch of cilantro. And here I have about 2 tablespoons of garlic that I've crushed, and I'll show you what to do with all of this when it's time. Okay, so my chicken is basically done. Now I'm going to add the potatoes back in. Or in, I should say. They were never in here to begin with, but I'm going to put them in the pot, and I'm going to kind of submerge them in the liquid and let them warm through. I'm also taking out the thyme at this point because it's done its job already. It's flavored the broth. And now I'm just going to keep cooking until the potatoes are nice and warm. Once your potatoes are warmed through, you're going to add your garlic and your herbs. I'm going to stir that in, and then I'm going to add my peppers and zucchini in. Now at this stage, you just want to warm the peppers and zucchini all the way through. You don't want to overcook them. You don't want them to turn to mush. And then I'll serve you a plate and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, here it is, our chicken and vegetable stew. Make sure you get some of that yummy gravy. It's really delicious, and I hope you enjoy.